Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for clicking on this video. Today I have another visual review for you. This time the Obelisk, the Vovin Obelisk Carrier. This is a ship that we were able to acquire for free in the game. And we're going to take a look at a bunch of vanity shields on this ship. And of course, as like our previous video, I'm going to go ahead and put chapter markers down below so that you could skip to the shields that you really want to watch. But honestly, I was doing some testing previously with the vanity shields on this ship, and most of them look really good on this ship. So you're probably not going to want to miss out on some that you might think might not look good, actually will look good. So I definitely encourage you, when you have the time, to kind of skip to some that you usually wouldn't and check those out, because honestly, this ship makes a lot of these shields look really good. So, all right, let's go ahead and take a look at the ship first of all. This is the Vovin Obelisk Carrier. It is a very sleek looking ship. I like the look of it. That's what it looks like from the top. Let's take a look at the back. Now this is, again, no special shields on this or anything like that. This is the original look of this ship. Let's take a look at the bottom here. All right. And the top. All right. So I think I'm trying to figure out, I guess, on this ship where things are located, right? Because it's a little bit different than your traditional Starfleet ship. So correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section down below, but for me, I would assume that this thing down here would be the deflector array. If I'm not mistaken, this area right here, this right here that you see in the yellow, I believe this would be the equivalent of the Bizarre collectors on other ships. And you'll start to notice some of that when we go ahead and put some of the shields on here. Of course, back here we have the actual nacelles, and specifically this part right here that's kind of floating. So this blue bar right there. Then these would be the impulse engines in the back, the ones I'm pointing to right here. And I guess secondary impulse engines at the bottom here, perhaps. So that's all I've kind of figured out so far. I would imagine that these in the middle are also impulse engines. So a lot of power, a lot of engine power for this ship. At least I think that's kind of what they were going for, as far as the looks of it. Let me show you something interesting too, actually. Let's go ahead and move the ship. And it has its own kind of impulse trail, as you can see. So it's got this kind of purple exhaust that comes out of it, I guess you could call it, with some kind of turns into like a black trail in the back. So it almost looks like it's a polluter ship. It looks what comes out of a car's tailpipe, right? Sometimes if it's not in good condition. So it's just an interesting effect, but I wanted to show that off so that you guys could see that there's already a built-in kind of visual element when you go ahead and you go into impulse with a ship. So, all right. Now that we've seen the ship as it looks originally, let's go ahead and just start putting some vanity shields on here. There's a lot to go through, so let's just get started on that. All right, let's start off with a simulated regenerative shield array and see what that looks like. All right, here we go. Yeah, see, this is why I say that this is the Bizarre collectors, because of the change in pattern here. I'm trying to see the Borg bits. They're not that prevalent in this particular hull. I mean, you can't really tell it's that Borgified. It doesn't look uniquely Borg. It's just got a little bit of green here and there. Maybe this area looks a little bit more Borgified perhaps, but it doesn't look as Borgified in some other ships. So it looks like this back part right here has that same kind of pattern that the front does. So like if this were part of Bizarre collectors as well. It did change the kind of the impulse color right here for those bars. Here it made it kind of this pale yellow. Just to look at in the middle here. At the bottom. See the deflector dish right here, it was changed. It's now it's got this greenish glow. A little bit of a star pattern in the middle. All right. So, I mean, it's not bad looking or anything by any means, but it doesn't seem to change it quite as much as this shield does to other ships. Next, let's take a look at the adapted M.A.C.O covariant shield array. All right. Really cool. It basically, again, changed the area of the Bassard collectors. So now they're not that greenish. They're more of a gold color. Right here, we have this kind of the carbon fiber material look to parts of the ship. Zoom in a little bit here so y'all could see it a little bit better. See what I'm talking about here? This little honeycomb pattern throughout. It changed, I think it changed the gray a little bit in color as well. And it did change the nacelle portion in the back, these bars right here that are kind of floating in midair. Interesting. Let's take a look at the bottom. All right, very evident change in the deflector dish right here. See how that looks. All right. I think it looks good. It looks pretty sleek, actually. I do like the carbon fiber look on it and what it did to the Bassard collector area here. So overall, I think I like it quite a bit. That is the adapted M.A.C.O covariant shield array. Next, we have the Omega 4 shield array. Let's take a look at that. All right, so this one, it doesn't look bad actually. Sometimes this shield looks really, really bad on some ships, but it kind of is working for me on this one. You have this pattern right here, a little bit of the brown colors coming in to those little, I don't know what to call them, kind of, I guess, plates on the hull. Here you have this kind of copper look. I don't know if you can see it, but it kind of makes it shine a little bit more. I think originally there is kind of that coloring on the Vovin, but it seems accentuated now, at least in this part. All right, the nacelles look about the same, just a little bit different color, but same kind of pattern going on. Let's take a look at the rear here, a little bit better. You can see that kind of honeycomb pattern right there on the interior impulse engines area. Let's look at the bottom. Yep. Again, it changed to the deflector dish. I think it's the same color as before. I don't think that changed much. All right. I believe that is the Omega 4 shield array. Next, let's take a look at the Omega Force Vanity shield. This is the one that you get when you reach tier 6 in your reputation. All right, so this looks just, and it looks almost exactly the same, actually. I don't see a huge difference. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I just don't. With the exception maybe of the nacelle portion, now they're blue. Yeah, and I guess it's got a little bit more blue in it, perhaps, than the Omega 4 shield, but the main pattern on that hull looks about the same. The deflector dish looks the same too. Not much of a difference in this one, really. It looks okay. It's not horrible by any means. Not my favorite, but it looks okay. All right, so that's all the shields from the Omega reputation. Let's move on to the Nukara reputation. This is the Nukara Crystalline Resilient Shield Array. All right, now we're seeing some bigger changes to the ship. So you get this interesting pattern here. That's the pattern you usually see on the Sard collectors when you use this Vanity shield on different ships. It's a lot more predominant here because they made this so big. So you see it just very, very clearly. Otherwise, you'd see something perhaps like that, like you see here at the bottom where my mouse is at. Changes the hull for sure. But I think it actually looks good on this ship just because of its alien origin. It looks a little bit weird on Federation ships overall, but because this ship is of alien origin, it looks pretty cool in my opinion. I think the pattern works for this design. I think the color definitely works for this design. I'm not so sure about the pattern within the Bizarre Collectors themselves, but I do like the blue glow color to them. Let's take a look at the rear of this. Oh, and there's the... that looks a little bit funky. This little nacelle bar here that's kind of floating. And I think it's just that pattern really that kind of throws it off a little bit. If it wasn't for that pattern, if it was just that blue glow, I think that would look amazing, actually. The big old impulse engines in the back are kind of this orangish or yellowish color. And then the middle here, they're blue. So you definitely have like more of a bunch of different panels put together for the hull. Actually, if anything, this looks a little bit, just the way the pattern and everything on it, it looks a little bit like Borgified actually. And it's not supposed to be because it's meant to be like a Tholian shield really. But it's just interesting what it does to the hull of this ship. It looks really good, actually. I like it. I even tolerate the weird pattern here because it's an alien ship, and I think it actually looks pretty good on here. Usually, I don't like this shield with anything. That's why I was saying there's some shields in here that you wouldn't think would look good because they usually don't on ships, but on this one, they look pretty decent. All right, so that is the Nukara, no, not Nukara, Nukara Crystalline Resilient Shield Array. Let's move on to the Vanity Shield, the Strikeforce, Nukara Strikeforce Vanity Shield. All right. So basically the same, except just a darker hull overall, but the same kind of patterns, even within the Bassard collectors, same kind of bluish glow to them. You even have this kind of this yellow in the back. Let's take a look at the bottom. Yeah, kind of very chromified, actually. Look at that kind of bright blue, whitish glow to the deflector dish. Looks really interesting. I think it works. I think both of these shields work on this ship. Just because it's an alien design, right? So you got kind of an alien feel to the ship already as it is, and some of these alien shields are working real good. All right, so that is the Nukara Strikeforce Vanity Shield. Let's move on to the Romulan Reputation Shields, and we'll start off with the Romulan Advanced Prototype Shield. All right, so kind of a subtle change, but it looks good, and in my opinion, anyways. So basically, you took some of these panels and you made them. When we put the shield on here, it made them green. So, but I think it's kind of like, it's kind of an elegant look. I don't know how else to describe it. To me, it's just kind of a little bit of an elegant look to the ship. Just add a little bit of green to it, but it's not too crazy. It changed the color, I guess, of the interior, a little bit more green in there as well. And I think even the interior lighting is a little bit greenish tint now as well. Let's look at the bottom. So you got these kind of green lines, green highlighted lines, I guess. There is the deflector dish. just a front down view. Yeah, I think it looks all right. I actually really enjoy it. I like how subtle it is, but yet at the same time, you definitely just added green to the ship. So we were playing as a Romulan character, and this is your ship. You might want to put this shield on. That's the Romulan Advanced Prototype Covariant Shield. Next, let's take a look at the Reman. The Reman Advanced Prototype Covariant Shield Array. All right. So this is what we usually expect from the Reman shields. Kind of make it look kind of this chrome color. Here we see hints of kind of purple bouncing off of it. The Bazaar collectors here have this kind of blue color with a little bit of white in between, looks like. I don't know if that's from the reflection or if that's actually inherent. I think it's inherent to the just to the look of it. All right, we can see here that the nacelle portion that's kind of hanging out here and floating has turned this kind of greenish color with some black on the ends. Look at the rear. All the impulse engines have this kind of bluish color to them with, again, the ends are kind of a little bit dark and black. So kind of a gradient pattern on there. Oh, there we are. I was looking for these little honeycomb panels that you're accustomed to seeing on this kind of shield. So they're not as obvious on the outside, but more on the inside and towards the middle, you start seeing some of those panels show up. They're a little bit more subtle here with this ship than they usually are on any other ship. Let's look at the bottom. Okay, kind of an interesting pattern here in this kind of this half moon looking area. Not sure that I like that pattern specifically, but let's take a look at the deflector dish. Okay. All right. So overall, not a bad looking vanity shield for this ship. It looks really cool. I like kind of the chrome effect and even the hints of purple that are kind of glowing off of it look pretty neat. I would probably change, if I could, anything would be kind of this pattern that I'm seeing in the Bazaar collectors. I don't like that much, or down here on these little half moon looking things. Other than that, I think it looks pretty fantastic. Let's take a look at the vanity shield that you get at tier 6 for this reputation, the new Romulus Reman vanity shield. So, all right, this is a more dark color and a lot more green in the hull itself instead of more of the purple that we saw before. Not that there aren't any hints of purple. I feel like there's a little bit on there, but definitely more green. So, all right, so the Bazaar collectors, more green in them as well. Still a little bit blue, but a little bit more green in it. The cell areas, again, definitely more green. Impulse engines, green. Let's look at the bottom. All right, kind of the same pattern on the deflector dish. Again, more of a greenish blue than before. Take a look at the top again. See how the light bounces off of it. I like it. I like that deep green color that you see right here. It looks pretty neat in my opinion. So I think I like them both. They're really neat. All right, so that's the final shield for the new Romulus reputation. This is the new Romulus Reman Vanity Shield. Next, let's move on to the Dyson, which is very appropriate. This is basically a Dyson ship. As you can see, some of the patterns on the hull of this ship kind of match the patterns on these buildings. I'm actually in the Dyson sphere currently, so you can see the design language looks very similar to the surroundings here. So we also have a Dyson reputation, And two shields that we get from that. The first one we're going to take a look at is the Dyson Regenerative Shield Array. Let's put that on there. Let's see if it makes a big difference. All right, so it didn't make a huge difference. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at the ship as I'm taking off the shield and putting it back on. All right, so one of the things that changed was a little bit of the pattern in the hull. Basically replaced it with these lines right here that are purple in color, as you can see. Everything else looks pretty much similar to the original look of this ship. The big difference is the pattern on the overall on the hull is a little bit different. Now we got these purple lines kind of throughout it. They're really predominant. You could actually really see that change. Yeah, you see it in the interior as well. These purple lines throughout. Deflector dish looks pretty much the same as the original, I think. No big change on that. Okay, so that is very, very subtle change. This is the Dyson Regenerative Shield Array. Again, just changes some of the patterns, some of the lines, and makes it look purple. Let's take a look at the Dyson Joint Command Vanity Shield that you get at Tier 6. All right, this is a bigger change, but only because these gray areas now are more of a purple color, purple-gray color. So it's a little bit more noticeable than it was before. Some of the lines, even the purple lines, stand out a little bit more given the darkness of the darker kind of color of the rest of the hull. So they pop out a little bit more than they did before. Let's take a look at the middle of it. It's kind of an interesting look from this angle. Let's take a look at the bottom. You know, I really don't hate this. I think it looks okay, to be honest. I mean, it should, simply because of the design language, right? This being the shields from the Dyson reputation, and this being a Dyson ship, they should look okay. And they do. They both look okay. I don't think they look fantastic, but they both look okay. Next, let's take a look at the Counter Command shields. This is the Species 8472 reputation, or the Counter Command reputation. So first we're going to look at the Counter Command Covariant shield. All right. So bigger change on this one. Definitely first starting off with Bassard Collectors. You can see this kind of stretched out honeycomb pattern kind of. You see that it turned green. You have more browns in the hull itself. It's kind of like a copperish brown, right? But definitely more brown. And then you have these kind of black areas here mixed with these little green circle things that kind of show up. A little bit here, a little bit there. It changed the look of the nacelle in the back here. Made it look green. I don't like this blue with these little circles on it. But it's not a huge deal breaker for me. Let's take a look at the middle area. More dark for sure. A lot more black in the interior than it normally has. Let's take a look at the bottom. Okay. Definitely changed the look of the deflector. We can see right here that there's purple on the outside, but on the interior you have the green and the black. Kind of little bullseye kind of thing going on there. Let's take a look at the top. All right. I don't hate it. I think it looks all right. It's pretty decent, actually. In fact, the further out you go, the more I like it, to be honest. I think what's out of place is maybe this blue color. Because, see, I'm seeing like this blue highlight. And you can see it when I zoom in closer around the nacelles. Right here, I think that looks off. And also this blue in the interior here of the nacelles. I think I think that blue doesn't belong. To be honest with the rest of it. If that was dark, if that was black like this, it would look fantastic. Even if it was green, like this green color from the Impulse engines and the Bassard collectors, I think it would look really, really good, really decent. But the blue just seems off, right? So I don't love it, but it doesn't look that bad. Uh-oh, I don't know what I did. All right, let's take a look at the... I hit a button by accident. Sorry about that. All right, so now we have the 8472 Counter Command Vanity Shield. This is the one you reach at tier 6. So let's put that on there. This is a little bit more subtle. Kind of more of a salmon color to the parts that were black before. I don't know if you can see that, but this area here, very kind of a pinkish salmon color. The Bassard collectors are a lighter green. Instead of it being a darker green, it's like a light green now. Also, the little bullseyes, these little circle areas, have that light green color to them, or light. Actually, it's like a light bluish green color. The nacelles, again, this kind of light greenish color. Again, we have some of that blue here, blue highlights around the nacelles, and the Impulse engines. I still think it doesn't look great, but it looks better on here than it did with the previous shield, simply because this is a lighter look overall to the hull, whereas before it was a darker look, and then it just kind of made this blue stand out even more. And it just doesn't look that great. But this one, it's okay. So that was the 8472 Counter Command Vanity Shield. Next, let's take a look at the shields from the Delta Alliance reputation. This is one that I usually like a lot. So let's take a look at the Delta Alliance Unimatrix shield array and see what it looks like on this ship. Okay. Mostly liking what I'm seeing so far. Definitely love this color. This darker gray look. Kind of like, it's a mix between like a gray and a brown, but darker. And I really like the look of that. It's really, really nice. I'm not in love with the look of the nacelle here, or the Bassard collector area. Mainly because of this pattern. This pattern really kills it. These little circles in it, and then kind of like a little bit of black, and it just makes it look like a dirty... I don't know, like if you had grease inside like the inner chamber mix or whatever that's called. You know, I don't know. It's just kind of weird looking to me with that pattern. If it didn't have that pattern, it was just kind of this greenish color, it would look fantastic. The rest of the hull looks really, really nice. I like the Aztecing look here to it. In fact, it makes it look a little bit like camo, just a little bit, but it's more subtle than that. It's not too in your face. And I really, really enjoy it. Man, I just really like the look of the rest of the hull here. I like it so much that I think I could live with the kind of the weird patterns that I'm seeing again on the Impulse engines, or not the Impulse, I'm sorry, the nacelles and the Bassard collectors. The Impulse engines are fine. They don't bother me at all. Let's take a look at the interior here. You know, it's not a bad looking shield. And this, again, this is something you can get from one of the reputations. So you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to grab this one compared to some of the lot box vanity shields and stuff like that. So, so yeah, as far as I'm concerned, this is a pretty decent looking shield overall for this ship. Again, because this is an alien design, some of the weirdness feels a little bit more okay to me on this ship than a Federation ship, so I don't mind it too much on this ship. Yeah, so for me, this is a win for this particular carrier. So this is the Delta Alliance Unimatrix shield array. Next, let's take a look at the one you get at tier 6. That's the Delta Alliance Vanity Shield. All right, so very similar, except even with the patterns and whatnot, but it's more of a lighter gray color, lighter grayish green on here instead of the kind of the grayish brown, I guess. The Berserk Collector is a little bit lighter on the green spectrum as well, even though it retains the same pattern as the shield did before it. Let's look at the rear here and the interior. Okay. Let's look at the bottom. Ooh, here, like, that pattern's really popping out. This definitely looks more camouflage kind of look, doesn't it? From the bottom here. In fact, quite a bit more. It's a little less subtle. There is the deflector dish. Let's take a look at the top of this ship. All right. So yeah, I'm not hating it. I think it looks okay. I think from a distance on this one, it looks better too. It looks like it could be a troop transport though from the bottom here. Just looking at the pattern. So pretty neat overall. And that is the Delta Alliance Vanity Shield. Let's take a look at the Iconian Resistance. This is my least favorite. Y'all know this. If y'all have seen any of my visual review videos, I don't like the Iconian ones, but let's see what it looks like on here. Let's give it a fair shake, right? I gotta tell you, y'all, I do not hate this. And that's a lot for me to say because I really, really don't like the Iconian Vanity Shields. But on this ship, I am not hating this at all. So you see this pattern right here, it looks okay. Usually I don't like it. It doesn't line up with anything. It looks weird. But I think because it's kind of stayed in this strip right here of hull, it doesn't matter because it's not really trying to connect necessarily with another piece of the hull. It's just on this strip here. I like the color also of the Berserk Collectors, this kind of this fiery look to it actually. Wow, y'all, I am not hating this at all. Let's look at the side. Even this is not bad. I mean, definitely not as sharp, right? So the lines aren't as clean or whatnot, but it's not bad looking. So it looks like this bluish that really wants to do like a bluish color. Seems like that's just part of the ship itself. It's a bummer just because that remains consistent prior with any shield that you give it. Seems like, I don't know, but I've seen that blue on a lot of things, so I'm wondering if it's just always gonna pop like that. Let's look at the interior here in the middle. Let's look at the bottom. It looks kind of cool on this ship, I'm not gonna lie. And that's a lot for me to say. You all know I do not like this shield. But man, it looks pretty decent on this ship. I would use this shield on this ship. I would. If only for that look in the nacelle, the impulse engines, or the Berserk Collectors right here. That's really neat looking. I love how that's highlighted on this ship. I like the look of it. Who would have thunk it? I found a ship where this shield actually looks pretty good. This is the Iconian Resistance Resilient Shield Array, and it looks really good on the Vovin. What can I say? Man, what can I say? It looks good. All right, let's see the Iconian Resistance Vanity Shield. I usually like this one even less, but let's take a look. That's not bad, actually. I mean, if you like purple, it's basically the same thing, just in purple. For the most part. Let's take a look at the rear. If you like purple instead of all the red, That's basically what this does. And it changes the glowy bits to more of that purple color instead of the red. That is not bad, y'all. It looks okay too. I mean, you know, I'm not hating that. Can't believe I'm saying that, but the Iconian shields look pretty decent on this ship. All right, let's move on to the next one. We're looking at the Terran Task Force Covariant Shield Array. Let's put that one on there and see what that looks like. I like that. I like this quite a bit. First of all, you get that kind of chocolatey look to the hull. Oh man, I love how it combines with this orange. It just looks really, really neat in my opinion. Wow. It looks lean and mean, especially from the side here. Look at this, like the little spikes here, and then just kind of the lean looking lines from the side. It looks really sleek. Wow. Y'all, again, this is a reputation shield. And on this ship, it looks really, really good. Yeah, so you can see right here, it doesn't look that bad on this shield, but you can still see that there's a little bit of that blue kind of showing, kind of in the highlight of the, kind of the outline rather of the impulse engines here, and then this middle part of the nacelles in the back here. You can see that there's that blue. It looks fine. It doesn't look that bad on this with this particular shield, but on some of the other ones it looks kind of weird. But man, I am loving this shield on this ship. It looks really, really nice. Let's take a look at the bottom. Wow. Just great. It's a beaut. It is a beaut. As we say in Spanish, que cosa más linda. It looks really good. Okay, I gotta move on, y'all. I could just stare at this shield. It looks so good. I mean, it usually looks okay on ships, but on this ship, it looks really, really good. That's a Terran Task Force Covariant shield. Again, that one's from a reputation, so, you know, grind out a little bit for it. If you have this ship, you want to change the look, that shield just looks good on there. Let's take a look at the Tier 6 version, the Terran Task Force Vanity shield. That looks good too. I like that as well. It's, if you want more of a lighter look to the hull, a little bit more of the gray combined with this blue here, a little bit of that yellow outline on there. It looks really neat. The only thing I'm not loving, again, is just this blue right here on the back of the nacelle. It's not like a huge deal breaker, but it's just kind of a little bit off to me. Looks a little bit off. Let's take a look at the bottom. And there's the deflector dish. Y'all, that is not a bad looking shield on this ship either. So yeah, definitely the Terran shields I approve of on this ship. Let's take a look at the temporal shields. First of all, the Temporal Defense Initiative shield array. Oof. That looks super nice. Wow, look at the pattern right here that you see highlighted on the... Oh, man. You know, this shield looks okay on some ships. It's not one of my favorites, but it's an okay shield. But on this, Ship, this is looking so good. Let's take a look at the ship from the side. Man. Let's take a look at the interior here. You can see kind of that rainbow pattern look on the kind of where the windows are basically. All right. It's subtle. You can see it on a couple parts, but you see this little, what I call a little dinosaur skin look pattern. Look at this interior area, y'all. Like where I'm pointing at right now with the mouse, this area right here. Look at the colors in there. On here, you can see a little bit of that dinosaur pattern on this blue part right there. It looks fine on this ship, and it looks really... The blue doesn't bother me at all with this Vanity shield, especially since they also changed the pattern of it. Let me look at the bottom. This shield looks really good on this ship. Very, very, very cool. Wow. I'm telling you, some of these, I mean, even the ones that I haven't liked so much aren't bad on this ship. They look okay. I think the one that I liked the least overall was the first one. Was probably the the assimilated regenerative shield array, but everything else we put on here so far has been pretty decent. Even the Nukara one, I mean, just not bad at all. Let's take a look at the Tier 6 Temporal Shield, the Temporal Defense Initiative Vanity Shield. All right, so more purple on the hull. This does change the Bazaar Collector area. Definitely a different look to it. You have this yellow with a little bit of orange in between, or yellow to orange kind of pattern with kind of this reddish and green on the ends there. Interesting the way the light hits it right here. You can see that highlighted and how the hull changes in color a little bit. You see that? So that's pretty cool. I could dig that. All right, I like this one a little bit less than the Tier 5 version, but I think it's just this, it's a little too much, I feel like, in the change of colors. Like here we have this really bright pink, then we have this kind of orange color, then this yellow color, and then this... I don't know, it seems a little bit off to me. But overall, I'm not hating it either, though. And I like how the light hits the hull, and you can see the different colors kind of changing. It's pretty neat. I guess this pattern on the Bazaar Collectors isn't my favorite either. But when the light hits the hull and you see kind of the different colors within that, it looks pretty good. I like that part of it quite a bit. All right, so that's it for the temporal shields. Let's take a look at the Lukari shields. Now, this is the one that we call the Tron Shield, the Tier 5 version, Lukari Restoration Initiative Regenerative Shield Array. That's a mouthful. Let's put it on here and let's see if it tronifies the ship. And indeed, it does to a degree. Very cool. On the Bazaar Collectors, you can see the skin of the hull is kind of this, has this sheen to it. And yes, I meant to say sheen, not necessarily shine. I like that. I like how when the light hits it, you can see that pattern on the hull is really interesting. kind of organic in nature, kind of look a little bit, but like plant organic. I don't know if I'm saying that right or describing it right, but it doesn't look quite like skin itself, but like something plant like, in my opinion. Or even like the wings of a beetle or something like that. I like the blue color for sure. You know, all the highlights, you see them a lot more kind of right here at the bottom. Just take a look. Look at that. Yeah, definitely understandable why this is called the Tron Shield. You know, I really like the look of actually right here. I don't know if you guys could see that, but I like this look right here quite a bit. You have different colors. You have like a pinkish and a bluish, but it's also like this bright white, and looks pretty cool. I really like that. But yeah, this is definitely the Tron Shield. And on this ship, it doesn't disappoint either. You could really see it highlighted, especially at the bottom, but also at the top. Good looking shield. Looks good on most ships, actually. This is the Lukari Restoration Initiative Regenerative Shield Array. And next, let's take a look at the Tier 6 version of that. Okay, so more purple, definitely, especially in the Bassard collectors here, but also in the hull itself. You got this kind of this purplish look on some of these panels. So get it from the side. All right, from the rear. And then you got the pink kind of big impulse engines right here. You also have some pink in the interior of the nacelles right there. Let's take a look at the bottom. All right. Instead of kind of that whitish blue, you get this purplish color and purplish pinkish, I guess, really, on the highlighted lines there. Okay. So not bad looking. If purple's your thing and pink is your thing, then this one is a good option for you. So it has a Tier 6 version of the Lukari Restoration Initiative Vanity Shield. Next, we're going to take a look at the competitive, right? Yeah, the competitive Wargames Reputation Shields. The first one is going to be the Prevailing Innervated Resilient Shield Array. Basically, any of the Tier 5 shields that you get, whether it's the Innervative one or not, are going to look the same for that reputation. I just happen to have the Innervated one. Okay. Change the look of the hull. Definitely a little bit more armored looking, which is what I think they were going for. You got this kind of diamond-ish type look to some of these parts of the hull. I guess they're meant to be like armor panels or something like that to protect the ship. See what it looks like from the side. I do like this kind of gold look to the Bassard collectors. It's really nice, in my opinion. All right, you still have kind of that blue highlight throughout this area here. I'm guessing the blue highlighted is meant to look as the lighting, right? So really, it's not so much the lighting as it is that they try to make it look like it is lighting. I think it's an actual blue color within the hull itself, the material itself, to make it look obviously like this is glowing and bouncing off of the hull, making it look blue. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. If you know a little bit more about how these ships are designed, I mean, definitely if you've worked on them and you're watching this video and I am completely off of left field, let me know how that's created, if it's really a glow coming out of the light source, but I doubt it. I think it's more like you've added that to the actual hull. But I could be completely wrong. I don't know I don't know anything about how to design these ships or using like any of those 3D modeling pieces of software like Blender or any of those things, 3ds Max or whatever. Pretty cool. I mean, overall, it's not bad looking. I think I don't like the whole pattern all that much. I really like the what it does to the deflector dish here. Actually, it looks pretty cool. And I do like the kind of the goldish glow to the Bassard collectors and the highlights around here. I like that quite a bit. It's not a bad looking hull though. I would use it if this is one of the only ones that I had on my account. I still think it looks pretty good on this ship. Not my favorite necessarily, but it is not bad at all. Let's take a look at the Tier 6 version, the competitive Wargames Vanity Shield. All right, so this basically is a I don't know, it's a lighter looking hull, but definitely everything now goes more towards the more yellow of the palette, or the more gold look of the palette. Instead of these being silver, these are gold. These little diamond hull pieces, armored hull pieces. All right, you still have blue with the impulse engines in the rear, and also with the nacelles in the back here. Let's take a look at the interior. It did change, I think, the color of the windows of this ship. Let's take a look at the bottom. Oh yeah, the gold diamond shapes here kind of shine a little bit more. Pretty cool what it does to the deflector dish as well. Let's go back up to the front and the top. I actually think I like this better than the Tier 5 version. I think I like the Tier 6 version better. I just like all the gold kind of throughout the ship. I think it looks really neat. Yeah, not bad at all. I like it. I like it quite a bit, actually. All right, so there you have it. That is the Tier 6 version, the competitive Wargames Vanity Shield. Go ahead and put that down. Next, looks like we only got a couple more reputation shields to look at. So let's take a look at the Gamma reputation shields, the Gamma Synergistic Resilient Shield Array. All right, so we're seeing more purple for sure. This is a Jem'Hadar type shield. It did make the other hull like more of the rest of the hull a little bit more of a like a metallic gray, I guess you could say, kind of throwing more towards the purple end of the spectrum. And then some parts are just straight up purple right here. The Bassard collectors, you got this kind of pinkish purple look to them. So look at the rear here. Impulse engines kind of glowing this purplish, pinkish glow. Let's take a look a little bit closer in the interior. Let's take a look at the bottom. All right, definitely changed the look of the deflector dish right there. Okay. Not bad. Pretty neat. If purple's your thing, look no further. This is a really decent looking shield on this ship. Again, that is the Gamma Synergistic Resilient Shield Array. Let's take a look at the Tier 6 version, the Gamma Task Force Vanity Shield. All right. So this is even a darker purple for some of the areas, and definitely more of a pinkish, purplish look through the rest of the hull, instead of kind of that grayish color. Definitely more of a pinkish purple. Looks like nail polish to me. I think this one always has. Let's look at the bottom. I mean, I don't know. I'm underwhelmed, I guess. It's okay. It's just we've seen so many other shields that have been really, really good looking. At least in my opinion, right? If this is your cup of tea, definitely this is not a bad looking shield at all. This is really nice, but I don't know. I'm a little underwhelmed. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it's just a little too much for me. A little too much of a nail polish look to it. Maybe it's what it is. I like the purple. Purple's a pretty cool color. I don't know. A little more nail polish looking, I guess. Okay, and then finally the last two vanity shields that can be found in Reputation, in the Reputations. This one is from the, what's that reputation called? Man, I forget. Discovery Legends Reputation. Let's take a look at the Tilly's Review Pending Modified Shield. Let's put that on there and let's take a look and see what it does. All right, so the change is a little bit subtle. It's more towards just the main hull itself. You see some of these little kind of rainbow, what I call the bubble effect, where it's like, you blow one of those bubbles and the light hits it, and then because of the soap in it, you start seeing kind of this rainbow swirl color. That's what that kind of looks like to me. So very subtle, but you can see it. You can see it within the hull itself. You can see that pattern. That rainbow swirl pattern. Swirl is a very interesting word to say and to pronounce. Sometimes it makes it sound like squirrel, but it's not squirrel, which is another weird word to actually pronounce. And I guess if you're not an English speaker from birth, it may be a little bit harder too, but y'all understand what I'm saying, hopefully. Let's look at the bottom. All right. Look at the top. All right, it's okay. Like I said, again, it's more subtle and it's mainly just that pattern more than anything else that you see in the hull. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Tier 6 version. Discovery Legends Vanity Shield. Same kind of thing, just that the color is a little bit different in the swirling pattern. It is a little bit lighter. You can see it actually a little bit more within the ship. Let's take a look at the interior here. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot more noticeable, I think, in this version. Very noticeable at the bottom. Let's go back to the top. Yeah, you can really see it at the bottom. And from the sides a little bit right here too. On the top, it's a little bit more subtle, but you can still see it. All right. So that is the Discovery Legends Vanity Shield and the last shield available in the Reputations. So we went through all of the Reputation shields that exist in the game currently. And next we're going to take a look at the summer event and winter event shields that can be acquired through those events. The summer event ones are called the baseball vanity shields. And then there's one winter event shield, and we'll take a look at that as well. So let's go ahead and move on to that next. All right, so let's take a look at a few of the baseball vanity shields here. These are from the summer event. You could grab them with low lunat, I believe it's called, tokens, which you can acquire by playing different activities during the summer event on Risa. So I believe all of these shields cost a total of 1,000 of those low Lunat tokens. And we're going to take a look at all the ones that are available. So first, let's start off with the Vulcan Logicians Baseball Vanity Shield. And let's see what that does for the ship. Oh, pretty cool. Kind of gives it more of a darker gray in some of these areas, but also you have this pop of darker blue throughout the ship. The Basard collectors here we're looking at, they look like a purplish blue. Looks like it's got a highlight of yellow here around that area. See what it looks like from the side. Let's take a look at it from the rear here. Now the blue that's inherent in this design, or this whole material that is original to the ship, looks good here with this particular vanity shield because it just kind of blends in with the blue tones overall in and around the ship. Let's take a look at the bottom here. Okay. I like the pattern here actually with these kind of half moon areas there that light up. Let's take a look at the deflector dish. Let's take a look at it from the front here. And then from the top down. Looks good. I actually really like it. It looks really decent on this ship. And this is the baseball vanity shield, the Vulcan Logicians. Next, we'll take a look at the Deep Space Niners vanity shield. I don't know what's going on with my ship, but it's randomly just something's happening. I might be pressing a button by accident. Sorry about that, y'all. All right, so this gives it kind of a, so you got tones of orange, you got tones of blue, a little bit of a salmon color in some parts of it. Kind of more like a blood orange color here within the Basard collectors. See what it looks like from the side. There are the nacelles. Impulse engines from the rear. See what it looks like here down the middle. All right, from the bottom. Changes the color of the impulse engine, or sorry, the deflector dish right there. Interesting pattern right here, kind of in the middle, in this middle line, and then goes around to the circle or oval, whatever shape this is down here. Interesting. Not bad. Pretty cool looking. All right, next we have the Caitian claws. Oh, I actually think this looks pretty cool. So here you have kind of the orange within the Basard collectors, also some orange in the main hull area, as well as quite a bit of purple. The combination of the purple and the orange looks pretty decent, actually. Let's look at the middle here. At the bottom of the ship. Changes the deflector dish color as well. It's interesting. I think it looks pretty decent, actually. So this is a purple and orange. That is the Caitian claws shield. Next, the Denebian slime devils, or the slime devils vanity shield. Yep, here is basically purple and green. Changes the color of the Bazaar collectors to this greenish color as well. Yeah, this definitely, see that blue is definitely part of the hull. That's kind of built in. And it looks like there's nothing that changes it, right? So there's no vanity shield, looks like, that can change it fully. There's some that I guess it could blend in with a little bit more, but we see that blue a lot. So I guess not every vanity shield affects that blue color because it's part of the actual hull of the ship. Let's look at the bottom here. Well, definitely not my favorite, but to be fair, it doesn't look that bad. If those are colors that you end up liking, then it's not that bad. So that's the Slime Devil's Vanity Shield. Next we have the Workbees. Now I believe somebody in one of the comments told me, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was, but did point out that this shield, I believe it was this one, makes it look the ship a little bit like a Narn cruiser. So it's a different sci-fi franchise, Babylon 5 to be specific. It happens to be one of my favorite sci-fi shows of all time, Babylon 5. Highly recommend it, but supposedly this Vanity Shield kind of makes it look a little bit like a Narn cruiser because of the colors. And I believe it's this one. So you got a lot of this kind of orange color with the red. Those are typical Narn ship colors. Let's take a look at the back. The inside of it. I can see it. You can definitely see that. That would be cool to have a Babylon 5 crossover in Star Trek Online and get some of those ships in game. I mean, it wouldn't make sense in a lot of ways, I guess, but if we were to do crossovers that don't make sense, then that would be great. My vote's for Babylon 5. I would love to have a kind of a white star in the game. I guess the closest thing we get to one of those would be like a one of the Temporal ships, or no, I'm sorry, one of the Dyson ships from one of the recent packs, and I can't remember. It's the Romulan version of that Dyson ship. It looks a little bit kind of like that, I guess. So that's the Workbees Vanity Shield. Next we have the Ferenginar Liquidators. All right, so here we got yellow and green throughout the ship, with that blue there. Man, I can't believe how much that's annoying me, though. Just to have that blue just hanging out. Just looks like a sore thumb. Not my favorite combo of colors, to be honest. Doesn't look horrible or anything, but I don't know. I just don't like that combination, I guess. All right, next we have, what is it? The stem bolts. All right, so here we have more of like a pinkish or like a hot pink. Is that right? Maybe not hot pink, more like a reddish pinkish color. The nacelles, or the Bazaar collectors rather, have more of this silver white look to them with a weird pattern that shows up on all of them. Interesting. Let's take a look at it from the side. Here's the rear of the ship. Kind of the interior section. Look at the bottom here. All right. So if like a pinkish, reddish thing is what you're going for, then this is a pretty good ship for that. Or, sorry, good shield for that. So this is the Stempels. Next we have the Bozeman Titans, favorite of a lot of people. And, oh yeah, it looks really good on this ship too. So we got the gold and we have the kind of the black with hints of like green throughout, but looks pretty good. If you like the combination of like black and yellow, then this is a pretty good shield to put on this ship. Again, the blue just kind of throws me off, so I wish there was something we could do to kind of change that, because it really kind of cuts into the look of the vanity shields, basically. Let's look at the bottom. All right, the front. The front like this makes it look like some kind of I don't know why it comes to mind, but it's like some kind of Egyptian relic or something like that, with a black and then the gold. It looks pretty cool. Again, with the exception of that blue that just doesn't come off, it, you know, this would be a pretty really decent shield on this ship. Next we have the last one, which is the Andorian Blue Boars. It is the newest vanity shield that was presented to the summer event store. All right, and here what you have is orange and like this this bluish color. I don't know what kind of color to call that, like a pastel blue, I guess, or is it like a Catalina blue or something like that? I don't know. Y'all let me know. But I think it looks good. I like the combination of colors actually, but it definitely makes it look more like a beach vibe, right? Like something you'd see, colors you'd see like on a surfboard, right? So that's what it reminds me of when I look at these colors, this combination of colors. Looks good. The blue is not as predominant here. That little blue that was the darker blue, I can still see it. I could tell it's there, but it's a lot more subtle with this vanity shield, I guess because of the colors of the shield itself. Let's take a look at the bottom. Look at it from the front. Top down view. Yep. So there you go. That's the Andorian Blue Boars Vanity Shield. And that is the last of the summer event store shields. Next, we're going to take a look at the one and only Vanity Shield in the winter event store. Deca, I'm not sure that you watch my videos, but if anybody does from Deca, we could use one or two more Vanity Shields in the winter event store. We only have ever had the one, and it's a good one, mind you. The Fek'Ihri Vanity Shield, in my opinion, is one of the coolest shields in the game. You grab it from the winter event store. It's great. It'd be nice to get, you know, one or two more Vanity Shields added to that store. That would change the look of our ships. Let's take a look at the Fek'Ihri shield. It's meant to look, again, like the ship has been through hell and back. It's rusted and kind of been exposed to a lot of heat. It looks so good. First of all, let me just start off with a look of the Bassard collectors here. I'm loving it. I'm loving the look of it. It's kind of this, I don't know what to call it. It's like a bluish, but like a blue heat kind of looking color because of this white throughout. The hull itself looks really cool. Again, like a worn out, kind of rusted hull type. Like it's again like it's been through like very extreme heat, and I'm sure that's what they meant to do with that. Here you're seeing some of the blue that I complain about, but it's not as horrible, I guess, as some of the other shields. Let's take a look at the interior area here. Look at that. Yeah, it's definitely made to look like a worn out hull, right? The thing about it though is that it looks really good, and it works really well on most ships. Check out the deflector dish here. You get that kind of cool pattern, the little circles kind of all around, and then kind of how it like forms a ray that goes towards the middle here. Yeah, I really like this whole material type, or this vanity shield, and what it does to the hull. Yeah, it doesn't disappoint, and it looks really good on the Vovin. All right, that's it for summer winter event vanity shields. Next, let's take a look at some of the shields that you can acquire by completing missions in the game. The first one is the Dielectric Oscillating Resilient Shield Array. This is from one of what I call the lost missions in the game. You could access, I believe the episode is called Cold Case. If you type in, or even if you just type in this, the Dielectric Oscillating Resilient Shield Array, pause it here, take a look at the spelling, drop this into the STO wiki, and it'll tell you how you can grab that or what mission that comes from. So this is meant to be a Breen shield, and it is one of the older shields in the game. And yeah, you could see why. I mean, it's just kind of flat in a way. Like, even though it's meant to look like you have a bunch of little whole pieces and parts and things, it looks a little bit flat overall. And not very, very good. Let's take a look at the middle here. It's kind of a pretty busy looking hull. Like, and by that I mean not a lot of clean lines to it, right? Like, it looks like pieces of metal that have just been kind of thrown together. You got a lot of these lines, black lines here and there, and patterns that are a little bit different. Honestly, it's looked worse on other ships than it looks here on the Vovin. Still, not a shield that I would go out of my way to get for the look itself. So, unless you just really don't have a lot of options and you want something that's easier to get, then go for it. Now that is the Dielectric Oscillation Resilient Shield Array. I've had this shield for a long time. As you can see, it's been even epicked out for whatever reason. I can't remember why I did that, but I've had it for a long time. So, all right, let's take a look at the Reman Prototype Covariant Shield Array. This is one of the shields that you get from the Romulan Story Arc mission. That is called, I believe it's Coliseum. So if you go to episodes, you go to Romulan Mystery, you go to Coliseum, this is the mission that you would be able to get this shield from, and it changes the look of it. Again, it gives it this chrome look, very Reman. It looks pretty much just like the one from the Reputation. So if you really just like this look, you don't have to do the Reputation shield on this one. You could just grab, unless you're trying to use it specifically as a survivability shield or something like that, then definitely the shield from the Reputation is better than this one that you get from the mission. But if you just want to change the look of this ship, grab this one. Just play the mission Coliseum. Not my favorite mission. A little bit tedious, but you know what? It's fine. You can get through it pretty quickly, and at the end, you will get this as a reward, and it really does change the look of your ship. I like the look, actually, and it looks good on this ship. It looks good on a lot of ships. The favorite of a lot of people, and mainly because it's just so easily accessible, and it looks pretty decent. So, yeah, it looks very clean, very, very chromified, and sleek. I like it. I like how it looks on the ship. So, again, that is the Reman covariant, right? No, prototype covariant shield array from the mission Coliseum. Next, we'll take a look at the Jem'Hadar resilient shield array. This is not from the Gamma Quadrant Reputation. This is the one that you get from one of those lost missions again, I believe. I think it's from the mission called Boldly They Rode. So if you want to type this again into the STO wiki, I'm sure it'll point you in the right direction, but I do believe it's from the mission called Boldly They Rode. It's not one of the main missions in the story arc, but you know what? Wow. I'm sorry, I just got kind of stunned. It looks pretty decent on this. This is an older shield, but it looks... Wow. I'm really liking the way this looks on the Vovin. The Berserk collectors are a little bit off just because of the white on here. You see this white line here, and then this one over here. Actually, the one in the back doesn't bother me all that much. The one in the front is bothering me a little bit more. But it's not horrible. I can live with it. The rest of the hull, I think, looks really good. I like the colors. You know, I like this gray that this part of the hull has, and then, of course, the purple portions I like quite a bit. Let's take a look at the rear of the ship. Let's take the inside of it. Let's take a look at the bottom. I'm actually digging this shield on this ship. It looks pretty good. It's an older shield. It doesn't look good on a lot of ships actually anymore, but I would recommend it for the Vovin. If you don't have a lot of options and you just want a shield that you get by playing some missions, man, you know, don't sleep on this one. The Jem'Hadar. Oh, what did I do? Did I hit a button again? Let's hit the wrong button. The Jem'Hadar Resilient Shield Array. All right, let's see what's next. Hopefully that effect will go away quickly. What was that? That was rally point marker, but I'm not sure how I set that off. All right, next let's take a look at the Bajor Defense Covariant Shield. Before I put that on there, might as well, while this effect is kind of going off, or never mind, it's gone. Let me just show you real quick though where you get this shield. The Bajor Defense Covariant Shield Array you get from one of the story arcs that's called The New Frontiers. And in The New Frontiers, there is a mission called Scylla and Charybdis. That's how you pronounce this, Scylla and Charybdis. And in this mission, you have the choice of getting the shield, engines, or deflector array. The engines and the deflector array, they have no visual. They don't do anything to change the visuals on your ship. However, the shield does. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at that real quick now. So let me put it on the ship. That is the Bajoran Defense Covariant Shield Array. And there you have it. Pretty cool. So basically it changes the Berserk Collector, makes it this kind of glow, this kind of blue color. You got some yellow highlights throughout, which is nice. Throughout the Berserk Collectors there. The hull itself is meant to look like a worn out ship, basically. An ancient ship, kind of more armored, built for battles, that kind of a thing. And you could tell just by the kind of the look of the hulls. Right here you have these little grooves kind of throughout that look like they just piece parts of the different parts of the hull together. Some of the things don't line up. I don't like this area right here. As you can see, some of these lines aren't really lining up properly or anything like that. However, if you're going for that headcanon of this was a ship with hodgepodge parts that were put together, you could even see the scratched up parts of the hull by the lighter white little bits here and there on the hull, then it'll work fine in the headcanon, right? So let's take a look at the rest of it. I like the nacelle, this kind of orange color. Let's take a look at the bottom. Yeah, so it's definitely meant to. I mean, Bajorian ships. Bajorians were technologically advanced in canon before the humans were, or more technologically advanced. However, because they were conquered by the Cardassians, their technological growth was really stunted because they were under oppressive rule of the Cardassians. So they weren't able to thrive like they would have otherwise. So a lot of the stuff that they have, a lot of both the spacefaring ships and their attack ships and all that kind of stuff are a little bit older looking and kind of beat up because they didn't have a lot of them, and the ones that they did have took a lot of beatings. So anyways, that's the canon on that. Maybe it's more than you wanted to know, but here we go. That's the Bajorian Defense Covariant Shield Array, and you get that again from one of the missions called Scylla and Charybdis. Next, I am showing off a shield that I didn't have before. I grabbed this because I had forgotten about it, to be honest. There is one shield that you can grab from your R&D. So basically, if you go up here to where it says duty officers, and then you go here to the tab that says R&D, you'll see that you have different R&D schools, right? So if you have leveled up your shield school all the way up to level 15, and you have a specific duty officer, in this case we have Gumar, and I think we get him with a temporal officer maybe, or I'm not sure if it's a Delta recruit. It's either a temporal recruit character or a Delta recruit character, one of the two. You'll be able to get this duty officer for free by creating one of those characters. And this duty officer will allow, it's the only one that'll allow you to create these things, the Aegis devices. Now, you'll see that right here, it says R&D Aegis next to the duty officer. So specifically, the duty officer needs to have this. It needs to say Aegis. If it doesn't say Aegis, it won't be able to do it. But I do have the duty officer, and I was able to go ahead and craft this. So you could craft this after you've reached, I believe it's level 15 in your R&D school, the Shield R&D school specifically. Then you need a bunch of these items to be able to actually create them. I'm missing some now because I just recently crafted this shield. But you need a bunch of these little things to be able to craft it. If you have all those items, then you're able to go ahead and create one of these shields. And it's called the Aegis Covariant Shield Array. It's not just a vanity type shield. This is a shield you could actually use and put on the ship or on any ship that you want and use it as a survivability shield, if you will. It's a little bit of an older shield. There's nothing really to write home about with this one, but it does change the look of your ship a little bit. So let's take a look and see what it does to the Vovin. We're going to go ahead and slot it. All right, so it was subtle. It did change some things. Some of these lines kind of lit up more, kind of a more whitish glow to them. It lightened some of the lights, basically. Huh. It did change the look of the nacelles back here. This pattern, you can see that it changed the pattern here of the nacelles, of the kind of the little bar that kind of hangs in space here, and the little balls in the middle there. Let's take a look at the bottom. Okay. It did change the, I'm noticing it changed the deflector array. So here we got more of like that hexagonal pattern here, the honeycomb pattern, if you will. So not a huge change on the ship. It's kind of subtle. I think that on the other Federation ships you could tell a little bit more of a change, but basically, yeah, it's very reminiscent of, for example, something like the M.A.C.O shield, the adapted M.A.C.O covariant shield. So with the exception that it doesn't do any of the carbon fibering kind of look to the hull, it just kind of gives the same type of highlights almost to the ship. Also, that change to the impulse engines happens. So that's the Aegis covariant shield array. Definitely don't go out of your way to get this just to change the look of this ship, because as you saw, it didn't do much of anything. All right. The next two shields are going to be more special shields that you get from either events that happened in the game. Let's see. Let's take a look at the Alliance Vanity Shield. This one was from when they introduced the Alliance ships. They introduced the Alliance Vanity Shield and the uniform as well. Now this shield, the way that you get it now, if you don't already have it, if you didn't get it for free, is to go into the Mud Store. And in the Mud Store, you can go ahead and grab this for some Zen. Now definitely wait for a 75% sale or whatever it is, the highest amount that they do within the Mud Store to be able to grab this. I would not grab this at the current full price because it's way too much. This is one of my favorites, y'all. It really is. It looks really good on most ships. I like these like deep red lines that you see throughout, very Federation esque. But also, I don't know if you noticed, but these diamonds right here, right? These little triangles, not diamonds, they're like triangles, but they also look kind of a little bit like stained glass, right? Stained glass windows. When the sun hits it, you see the change in the colors. It looks really, really nice. I like this bluish color that the Bassard collectors look like right now. I like just the darker hull bits right here, and then they'll mix with the lighter hull. The contrast is very pretty, very nice, and I love the little gold accents throughout some of the ship here. Let's keep looking around. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at the way the light hits this and the patterns and it looks good. I even like the look of the nacelle portion right here and in the middle. I like that pattern. I like that look. Let's take a look in the middle section here. Very, very nice. In my opinion, anyways, this is definitely one of my favorite vanity shields of all time. It looks good on pretty much most ships. Let's look at the bottom. Cool. Let's take a look at the top here. Very, very cool. Oh, yeah. I mean, this shield does not disappoint. I like this shield on pretty much everything. Most everything, anyways. I mean, just really, really nice looking shield. All right, that's the Alliance Vanity Shield. Next, we have the 32nd Century Federation Vanity Shield from a fundraiser that was done a while back. There's no way to actually grab this one in game anymore, but if you have it, I wanted you to see what this looks like. Oh wow, that looks really sleek. So again, 32nd Century, so it's meant, it's meant to make the look of the hull be more reminiscent with the future, right? Give it a more futuristic look, and I think it does that pretty well, just with the look of the hull itself. The Bassard collectors, you get this kind of reddish pink. I like the way the light kind of just plays off of the hull itself. Very clean looking, actually. I think it's meant to be that technology, you know, that you've seen in Star Trek Discovery seasons 3 and on, where it's like the whole kind of the metal transforms into pretty much whatever the heck you want, which I find kind of interesting. But it's meant to look that way, I guess. I like this blue part now. I think it looks better with this hull, right? Because of the pattern also. And it matches the nacelle portion back here as far as the blue goes. So I'm really liking this shield on this ship. The shield doesn't look good on every ship, actually. But I'm really liking the way it looks here on the Vovin. Let's look at the bottom. Oh, I like the deflector. Very clean, very nice. All right, let's look at it from the front. From the top. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. This looks really good on the Vovin. That's the 32nd century Vanity Shield. If you have it, definitely put it on this ship. It looks really nice. All right, so that's it for the kind of the special shields that you get from events. The rest of the shields at this point forward are all going to be lockbox vanity shields that can only be grabbed again from those lockboxes. They're pretty expensive actually on the exchange, so you can find some of these on the exchange. The best time to actually get one of these vanity shields, if you don't plan on opening lock boxes, is if a new one is released in the game. What you're probably going to want to do is make sure you have a lot of credits on hand, first of all, energy credits, right? And then take a look, kind of give it like maybe like 4 days or something like that from the release of the new vanity shield, and then check the exchange and just see what they're going for. There's some people who just open a bunch of these boxes and get a bunch of the shields, and so what they end up doing is actually putting these on the exchange, and usually they're a few $1,000,000 a piece. But if you find a vanity shield for something like 50 million, it might be worth it, because 50 million EC is not like necessarily a ton. You can grab 50 million EC by doing Tour of the Galaxy, say, I don't know, for 50 days or something like that, right? So basically do a couple of months of Tour of the Galaxy every day, save that money, and then grab a vanity shield or something like that, versus actually having to spend a lot of money in getting keys or buying keys on the exchange to open up these lock boxes with a thought of, you know, maybe getting one of these vanity shields. It's just not, usually it's not worth it unless you want other things that are in the lock boxes. So that's the way I acquired actually most of these. Some of them I did grab. I was lucky enough to grab from just opening up a couple lock boxes. But this is, again, my main account, not my free-to-play account. So any other vanity shield that I've gotten has been really by going into the exchange, spending some EC, and just buying it outright. Or from the dilithium store, because sometimes in the dilithium store, they go ahead and they put some of these vanity shields up for sale for dilithium. And if that's the case, if that happens, that's your next best bet, I would say, is to grab them for dilithium, especially if we have a lot of dilithium, then you don't know what to do with it. So that's a good problem to have, actually. All right, so let's take a look at the Zenkethi Vanity Shield on the Vovin. Oh, it looks pretty good. Again, because the Vovin is an alien design, some of these alien vanity shields look pretty good on it. So here you can see this kind of pale yellow look to the Bassard collectors. The hull itself, you get the green with the dark, kind of a dark brown is what I would say that is. Yeah, pretty cool. The pattern is definitely meant to look like an insect, right? Insect skin or insect, what's that word called? Is it carapace? So if anybody is an entomologist, is it entomologist? The ones who study the bugs and things like that. So anyways, if all of that is wrong, if everything I said right there is wrong, then let me know in the comments. down below, but I think that's what they're called. And but let me know. Yeah, that I think that carapace, kind of the carapace of some kind of a beetle or a bug or something like that, is what that looks like to me. So let's see. I like the kind of the, oh, look at that. I just noticed this. These lights right here, I don't know if you can see them, but they're glowing in and out, these orange lights. See where my mouse is pointed? I don't know if you can see that in your monitors, but right there, the light's just kind of pulsing. That's pretty cool. Doesn't seem to be doing that anywhere else that I could tell. Or I guess it is. Yeah, I'm seeing it like way in the depth there of the ship. All right, let's look at the back. I really like this white glow that the nacelles have, and the impulse engines back here. I like that bright white light. Here you can see some of that blue, but it's blending in pretty good, at least pretty decently, with this kind of green on the hull, so it doesn't look too out of place or too bad. And the blue that's usually here on this part of the nacelle looks like it did change color, or at least it's not as highlighted because it's a dark color now, that dark chocolate or that dark brown color. Let's look at the bottom. Look at this. They got a lot of these little lights at the bottom. A lot of them are just, it makes it look like a really big ship because there's so many little lights throughout, and it makes it look like those are like, I don't know, like little windows or something, right? Interesting look. I like the deflector dish. The color there looks great. Just an interesting look right here from the bottom. Let's take a look at the top. Yeah, I like it well enough. This is the Zenkethi Vanity shield, and I think it looks pretty good. Let's take a look at another kind of insectoid species shield, the Hur'q Vanity shield. Oh yeah, look at that. Looks pretty good. A lot of gold in the hull itself with brown. You get this kind of greenish bile looking color here for the Sard collectors. It looks clean. It looks like it looks clean. The lines look clean and everything, and the colors really work for me. When you look at the hull, again, it looks like some kind of skin type, like an alien skin or some kind of a bug skin. So it's interesting. Fortunately, on this one, you see a lot more of the blue. I don't like it, but it's not too horrible compared to some of the other ones. Here, as I'm looking at the impulse engine, or the nacelles, sorry. In the back here, you can see some of this kind of lattice pattern. I think you see that somewhere in the middle too. Yeah, right here. See kind of a lattice pattern throughout some of these parts of the hull. Let's take a look at the bottom. Ooh, so that's pretty cool. I like what it does to the deflector dish. It kind of spirals in. You see that? Like comes out and then spirals in to the middle, and then you have that kind of that lattice structure look to it. That's pretty cool. I like that. I like what it does to the deflector. Take a look at the top there. Very, very cool. I like it. I like it quite a lot, actually. So that's a Hur'q Vanity Shield. Next, let's take a look at the, I believe it's Ferengi Vanity Shield. Yep. Get ready for a lot of orange, y'all. And there it is. There it is. I mean, you know, if orange is your color, then this isn't bad. It looks fine. It is what it is, you know, as far as the orange. That's what they were going for on this one. It looks clean overall, like the hull itself looks pretty clean. Looks pretty decent. Doesn't have any weird patterns that I'm aware of. But it definitely is just very orange, right? So it's meant to be a Ferengi ship. You know, make any ship look like a Ferengi ship. So, and this Vanity Shield definitely excels at doing that. You can see a little bit of the blue here, but it's not too much, I guess, because there's just so much orange. It kind of mutes it out a little bit. Let's take a look at the bottom. Definitely changes the look of the deflector dish. Okay, I like it, actually. It's pretty cool. Just take a look at the front. Yeah, definitely going for that Ferengi vibe. Yeah, it looks pretty decent, actually, on this ship. So if orange is your thing, look no further than the Ferengi Vanity Shield. You definitely want to pick up one of these. Next, let's take a look at the Kelvin Divergence Vanity Shield. I like the look. I like the color of the hull that it changed it to. This grayish color looks good. The Bassard Collectors are a little bit weird. The pattern that they have for the Bassard Collectors on this ship is one of the weirdest that I've ever seen on any of the Vanity Shields. I'm not sure what they were going for with that, you know, or how they decided upon that specific pattern, but not my favorite. I mean, even here within the cells, you can see what it does to this little floaty area. It makes it, it's like metal, but not at the same time. I'm not sure, because then you have these glowy bits kind of at the ends, and it looks a little bit off. You know, I'm just not sure what to say about it. To be honest, it's not my favorite. I mean, can you live with it for the sake of this, having this Vanity Shield on this ship? I guess. You know, it's not the worst looking shield actually on here, and I like the way the deflector dish looks with it. It's just something off about those things, right? Like some of the patterns that are introduced with it. But hey, you know, it doesn't look horrible. And that's the Kelvin Divergence Vanity Shield. Definitely would not go out of my way to get that shield, though, for any ship, because honestly, it doesn't look really good on most ships. Next, we're going to take a look at some of the Discovery era Vanity Shields from the lock boxes. The first one is the Discovery Vanity Shield, just the regular Discovery Vanity Shield. I really like that, actually, and I even like the pattern that it brings to the Bassard Collectors. I love the color of the hull itself and the pattern of it. Wow. Very cool. Loving the blue on the impulse engines. Even this middle part right here, you guys see that right here in the nacelles? You have that kind of little blue ball, and then you have that honeycomb with the white light in the middle. I think that looks really, really clean, really cool. The this part of the impulse engine, or the nacelle looks a little bit weird. The pattern's kind of a little bit off, and you got this little end that's kind of metallic, where the rest of it is glowing with some kind of a weird pattern. I think it doesn't, I'm not loving that the best. I love what's going on in here, but at the end here, I'm not loving it too much. It's okay, but it's not great. Let's take a look in the middle section here. Let's take a look at the bottom. I'm liking that right there, the kind of the half moons here and there. Looks pretty good. I'm liking the deflector, what it did to the deflector dish. Very cool. I actually really like it. Overall, I really like it. You know, a little bit bummed about what it did back here, but other than that, I think it's a pretty decent looking shield for this ship. That is the Discovery Vanity Shield. Next, we're going to take a look at the Discovery Refit Vanity Shield, meant to look like the hull when the Discovery gets upgraded in the future. And it's definitely a darker look to the metal, as you could see through the rest of the hull. It'll also change the look of the Bazaar collectors. We got this white, bright, this bright white actually glow to it. Let's take a look at the ship from the side. It does make it look a little bit more futuristic though. Just the whole pattern type and just the color itself. Very cool. Good. The nacelles are just this bright white light color, which I like, and even in the middle it's fine. So I got just that bright white light. Impulse engines have this bluish glow, which is fine. And then you got the reddish glow on the bottom here, which looks really good, actually. Let's take a look at the bottom. I like the deflector dish, the way that looks. It's a really good vanity shield on this ship. It looks really nice. I really like it. I really, really like it on this ship. Beautiful. It's really good. So that's the Discovery Refit Vanity Shield. Next, we're taking a look at the Emerald Chain Intel Juggernaut Vanity Shield. So, in some ways, it's kind of similar to the Discovery Refit Vanity Shield in the pattern of the hull a little bit. However, this hull is a little bit darker, kind of more throwing towards the green color. It does change the look of the Bazaar collectors here. It's got this kind of weird hexagonal pattern, but it still has kind of that whitish glow. It's just not as a clean white glow. It's like a whitish yellow glow a little bit. I like what it does to the hull itself, though. Like right here, the rest of the hull. I like the look of it. It's very, very cool. Let's take a look at the back. Kind of look at the middle here a little bit. Let's take a look at the bottom. Yeah, so definitely has more of a militant type look to the hull. And if that's what you're going for, then this is a really good vanity shield for that. Meant to look a little bit more aggressive. I like it. I like it quite a lot on this ship. That is the Intel Juggernaut, Emerald Chain Intel Juggernaut Vanity Shield. All right, next we're going to take a look at the Courier Raider Vanity Shield. All right. Definitely very, very bright. Like even this white here is so bright that it's kind of melding with the rest of the hull, the surrounding hull. Definitely meant to look more of like a white hull, even though it's still very, like it's still gray, but it's just a very bright gray color. Let's take a look at the rear of the ship. Again, very bright white light. Let's take a look at the bottom. The deflector dish, I like it. Let's take a look at it from the front. Well, if you want your enemy to know that you're coming, this is definitely the Vanity Shield for you and for this ship, because everybody's going to know this ship is coming. It's so bright um, that it'll blind everybody. That's the Courier Raider Vanity Shield. Next, we're going to take a look at the Ba'ul Vanity Shield. This is the favorite of a lot of people. Let's take a look. Ooh, very, very nice. Very black on the hull. With the Basart Collectors being this white light. Very cool. It does have a specific pattern that's belongs to the Ba'ul. Let's take a look at the back. I like this bluish color on the impulse engines and the nacelles. Let's take a look at the middle here. Let's take a look at the bottom. It looks good. It looks really good. If you want your hull to be black, this is definitely the Vanity Shield for you. It looks really neat actually on this ship. Very, very dark and cool. All right, so that is the Ba'ul Vanity Shield. Next, one of the shields that is pretty much most people's favorite, the Section 31 Vanity Shield. That is very, very clean looking. Wow. Where to start? Okay. So here, the Basart Collectors, you have this, you do have a pattern on them. I don't know if you can see it, but I guess there's circles that have been kind of stretched out. And it's very black, or whatever this color is. It's kind of a, basically it's like a dark gray color. So very cool looking. It works, and I think the pattern works because it's not glowing and then having that pattern on it. It looks almost like it's just the rest of the hull. It doesn't even look like this is like technically a Basart Collector. Now, the Section 31 Vanity Shield is meant to make a ship look stealthy, right? So it doesn't want a ton of bright lights coming out of it. It wants to mute all of that a little bit. So I think it does that very well. But because we have this kind of lattice pattern, or this pattern kind of in between the hull in the middle here, I think it actually matches pretty good with the Basart Collectors, if you get what I mean by that. I think it looks pretty good. Let's see it from the side. I even like the yellow kind of throughout, or orange. I don't know what that is, yellow or orange. I think I'm colorblind or something. I'm not sure. As you can see here, the nacelles themselves are basically, it's black. You see that? It doesn't even glow. It's there, but it's not glowing. It's like a black color. Even the little circle over here. So what's glowing a bit are these impulse engines, the big ones here. And I like that blue that they're glowing. That color is really nice. I even like the red down here. Let's take a look at the bottom. Man, this is just a good looking shield on most ships. Actually, I don't think I've found a ship where it doesn't look good in. There might be one out there, but I haven't found it yet. I like the deflector dish. Looks really good. Very, very cool. Man, just a good looking shield. Never disappoints. A Section 31 Vanity Shield. All right, next let's take a look at one of my favorites, my personal favorites, the Emperor's Vanity Shield. Oh, yeah. That looks amazing. That looks amazing. Wow. Love what it does, first of all, to the... I love the color here on the Bizarre Collectors, but look at this hole. It's dark color, but it's kind of like a... I would say it has hints of like brown in it too. I love the paneling here, the kind of the Aztecing that you see throughout the hole. I like this blue color that makes it pop, right? I like how the light hits the hole and it just kind of shines. Look at that. Let's take a look at the nacelles and the impulse engines. So I like the orange here. Definitely liking this blue color. Just the contrast of the colors looks amazing. Let's look at the bottom. It's beautiful. I really, really, really enjoy this Vanity Shield on like pretty much everything. Loving the deflector dish here. Love the pattern of the hole. Yeah, this one's near and dear to my heart. It always has been. It's been pretty much my favorite shield in game. I would have to say it is my favorite, and then the Alliance one is probably my second favorite. And I do like the Section 31 quite a bit, but it hasn't been my like favorite. Really, the Emperor Vanity Shield has been my top favorite, and it's never disappointed me. I really like the colors, and it looks fantastic. Let's see Emperor's Vanity Shield next. Let's take a look at some other ones. I think these were inspired by Picard, the TV show. We will start with the Zat Vash. Zat Vash being Romulans, and kind of a sect of Romulans. So you'll see the green in the hole. The Bizarre Collectors look interesting. I mean, the pattern's a little bit busy. I don't know that I like it all that much. It's less red, more like... It's like more like pinkish with some red in it. It seems like... I think that pattern's just not working for me. The color itself doesn't really bother me, but it's the pattern I think that's throwing me off on this one. Let's look at the rear. I do like the green glows though, and even the pattern on it looks pretty decent on here. But this ends up looking like a picnic blanket, or like a picnic yeah, basically, or a picnic table oh, what are those things called? What you put on top so that, you know, you don't dirty your table itself. Man, I forgot the word for that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Or a picnic blanket. It kind of looks like a picnic blanket too. Or table cover, I guess that's what it's called. Let's take a look at the bottom. I do like the pattern and the look here of the deflector dish. I like that quite a bit. I think just the pattern of the red parts here is what's really throwing me off. I'm not liking the look of that. Other than that, not really a bad looking shield, but I don't think it works as well as some of the other ones. That's the Zat Vash Vanity Shield. Next, we'll take a look at the Borg Vanity Shield. I'm not sure that this one's from Picard. I'm actually not sure when they introduced this one. I can't remember. This does, though, make it look a little bit more Borgified than even the one from the Omega rep. The reason I say that is because even right here in the Bizarre Collectors, you see the metal. It looks kind of like a Borg cube type of hull material, or material type. So I think that looks really good. Even the whole pattern on the rest of the ship makes it look a little bit like Borg, like a Borg put together this ship. Let's look at the side view. really like the blue that's showing here on the nacelles. This right here, and even just the glowy bit right here in the middle. Okay, let's take a look at the inside. Yeah, definitely makes it look more like a Borg cube, right? I think I'm losing my voice. I've been talking for a little bit, showing all these shields. Excuse me. Let's look at the bottom. Very nice. And the deflector dish I like a lot. I like the pattern. I like the color. I think it looks great. Not a bad looking shield on this ship, really. I think it looks pretty cool. And I think it works. Like a ship that the Borg, you know, modified for their own purposes. Alright, so that's the Borg Vanity shield. Next we have a Safe Galaxy Refit Vanity shield. Alright, so this one's definitely meant to make the ship look more military, right? I like the pale yellow here on the glow. The hull itself, though, you can see it has a camouflage pattern to it throughout. It looks really good. I think it looks really good on the ship. Let's take a look here at the impulse engines. Again, that pale yellow. I like what it did here to this part of the nacelle. Looks good. Let's take a look at the kind of the center area a little bit more. Very neat. Meant to look like the Confederation ships. I believe that's what they were called. It's in a different kind of universe / timeline that Picard and his cohort were taken to by Q, was it? I think so. Here is the deflector dish, and I think it looks fine. It looks good. But yeah, definitely does what it sets out to do, and it's to make a ship look a little bit more military, and so it definitely accomplishes that. And I think it looks neat on this ship. Looks pretty good. Again, that's a Safe Galaxy Refit Vanity shield. Next, we're gonna have the Shrike Vanity shield. As seen, the Shrike ship is seen in season 3 of Picard. Also, the ship is in game. It is a lockbox ship, but they do have it in game. This looks good. Actually, this right here looks to me a little bit more like a Narn cruiser than the baseball Vanity shield did. Although that did as well, but this, I think, to me, makes it look a little bit more like a Narn cruiser. Very, very cool. It looks really good on this ship. I like the colors. I like the contrast of the two colors, like the darker with a lighter. I like the Star Collectors. I like the color that they're giving off there. Let's take a look at the rear of the ship. Very cool. I like the pattern inside here of the nacelles. I like the glow back here of that kind of part that floats. Let's take a look at the bottom. There's the bottom. Sorry. I said let's take a look at the bottom, and I stay looking kind of into the center of it. One of the interesting things is the look of the deflector dish. It definitely looks just straight up like a bullseye more than anything else. It's kind of interesting. I mean, straight up like a bullseye, or like a target, actually. Interesting. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, I like it. I really like this Vanity shield on this ship. I've actually been putting it on some other ships, testing it out, and I haven't seen ships that I really like this shield on, but man, on this ship, it looks really, really nice. I'm really liking the look of that. Really liking the look of it. Very, very cool. Again, that's the Shrike Vanity Shield. We have one more shield and that's it. I know it's been a long video. Again, chapter markers are down below. But here we go. The Prodigy Vanity Shield is the last shield we got to put on this ship. Oh, it looks really clean. Very nice, actually. I like the whole color. This kind of metallic gray. I'm liking the Bassard collectors, even that bluish, whitish color on there. Very sleek. Very, very sleek. Let's look at the rear. Impulse engines have that blue glow. The nacelles have that bluish white glow. Let's take a look at the middle here, the center. It all works. It all looks really, really nice. These colors work together very well. Let's look at the bottom. Ooh, I'm liking the deflector dish right there. Kind of a burnt orange look to them. It really like stands out because everything else is kind of this bluish, like blue tones. So the deflector dish really stands out on that. It looks really neat, actually. Very sleek looking. Very, very sleek looking. Love the way the light like kind of just bounces off the hull. Man, very, very cool. That's it. That's the last one. But there are very few shields that I actually didn't like on this ship. Most shields, even ones that I usually don't like, look really fantastic. And I think that's a tribute to either the design of the ship or the way that the hull was created for this ship. But man, very few shields on here that I put on today that I wasn't like that keen on. Most everything else, most of the shields just look really good. Like I'd be happy to put any of those on there pretty much and just run with it. Very nice looking ship. The Vovin Obelisk Carrier. As far as performance goes and all that stuff, I couldn't really tell you. I haven't played with it that much in the game yet. Kind of working on it, just trying to see what it feels like. But definitely it's a sleek looking ship, very nice looking. And again, this was one that you were able to acquire for free in the game, which is always cool. Whenever there's an event like that and the ship is the grand prize of it, I really would recommend everybody, just play the game and grab yourself these free ships, because sometimes you never know, there might be a console on it that's really good. But other than that, it just gives you an extra ship for free. And some of these look really nice and they're good for role playing. And even if they're not the best performance in the game, for playing just regular missions in the game and things like that, they're usually good enough. And even for some TFO content, especially on the lower end. So don't shy away from grabbing these whenever they are available, because they're neat. And then if you don't get them for free, usually what happens is they end up, in Mud's bundle or a Mud store, for a lot more money than you would want to pay for it. So yeah, so definitely get them while they're free and while you're playing an event. And if you got to do a little bit of a grind for them, I still recommend you do that. It's just, you never know what you're going to end up with. It's pretty cool. All right, y'all. Again, chapter markers are down below, so if you want to skip to a specific shield or if you want to go back to a specific shield, you could do that. Just click down below and you'll be able to see the different chapter markers for the different shields. They'll be labeled, okay? So hopefully that is useful to you. If you like these kinds of videos, if you want to see me continue to do these visual reviews, please, 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 pretty please, leave a thumbs up down below. It helps the algorithm. It helps me out. It lets me know that you're watching, that you're enjoying it too. And it just keeps me motivated to do these. These are really long videos. They take a long time to record and to edit. So they really are a labor of love to basically anybody who likes ships, especially in Star Trek Online, and want to see what the different looks of it are. So again, hope that you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for clicking on this video again. Until next time, live long and prosper. And thanks so much for watching. Take care.